Robert Suarez is coming into today's game. And it's what, the 8th inning, I think is what it was. And he's been back for a good amount of time now. No sticky substances. Nothing. But as he's coming in, the umpires, they check the relievers as they come in. So they don't have to check them when they go off the mound after an inning's over, after their appearance is over, right? Check Suarez, and the umpire ejects him. They look at the top of his arm, wrist area is what they were looking at. Kick him out. And I think Bob Melvin was going to the bathroom at this time, so he was like, yeah, it's probably a bad time to use the restroom. So Niebla's out there, the pitching coach, seeing what's up. And I was expecting Suarez to contest it maybe and be pissed off that he was thrown out. You know how Max Scherzer earlier this season against the Dodgers at Dodger Stadium, he went like nuts on the umpires that they threw him out. And Robert Suarez just walked off the mound. No, whatever. So that leads me to believe he was using something. And if that was the case, that's very disappointing. He has failed this Padres team this season. And part of it wasn't his fault with the injury, but if this was his fault, then some of it is his fault, right? He misses over half of the Padres season with an injury. And then comes back. Has been pretty good. Pretty impactful. Like it was good to have him back, definitely. But then if he is suspended for 10 games, and there could be an appeal, but if he's suspended for 10 games here, and the Padres are already circling the drain, I feel like the season's already over. Robert Suarez is going to end up having a failure of a season, if it's not a failure of a season already. Because we were expecting way more innings out of him than we ended up getting this season. He has a negative Baseball Reference WAR as of now. His WHIP's below 1. But you look at the ERA, and I know that was inflated by, I think, one of his appearances, but 4.73 ERA this season and a little over 13 innings. That's a failure of a season. 13 innings. And you look at a lot of these appearances. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 appearances this year. 10 of his, I think, 13 games have been shutouts. So, for the most part, he's done his job. Against Pittsburgh, only gave up 1 run in that 1 inning of work. The ERA was inflated because of that terrible Dodgers outing. But that was a big game, obviously. And they had that game. They were supposed to win that game, and Suarez cost the Padres that game. And again, I go back to the sample size of this season. It's small. It's essentially nothing. And now if he's out for another 10 games, the season's definitely going to be over by then, you would think. So very, very disappointing 2023 season for Robert Suarez. If this wraps it up, maybe he'll make a few more appearances after his suspension, or the suspension goes down in terms of the number of games. But yeah, very disappointing if this ends up being a suspension for Suarez. And I feel like it will, because he didn't contest it at all. He wasn't pissed off. I'm sorry. If I was going into a ball game and the umpires pulled me aside and I had like sunscreen on my arms or whatever, and I'm a sweaty guy or whatever, and I need something on there, or it's just sunscreen and you're not doing anything wrong, and the umpires come to me and throw me out of the game, I'm sorry. I'm getting pissed off. I'm not just going to walk off the mound and be like, well, okay, whatever. No, I'm going to be pissed off because the umpires are accusing me of something that I didn't do. I would go like Max Scherzer and be absolutely pissed off about it. And we didn't see that from Robert Suarez. A lack of fight for his ejection. And there's been some times where there's been a lack of fight for some other guys on this team this season. There's been guys that have admitted that they have quit at some points this season when they get down in games. And that's been a problem for this team. AJ Caswell says, as of now, it's unclear whether Suarez will appeal his pending 10-game ban. Suarez says, I'm just going to explore my options, see what options I have, and go from there. Well, those are your options. You appeal for a lower suspension or no suspension at all, or you take the suspension. And again, you showed no emotion coming off of the mound. So that leads me to believe that you actually did something. Crew Chief Todd Tishner said, upon inspection, of Robert Suarez's left wrist area. He said it was too sticky, very sticky, and he was ejected. But here's the thing. Umpires probably have different levels of sticky. One umpire might think, oh, that was too sticky. Another might think, no, I felt someone that was stickier this year. That's fine. Right? So that's part of the problem of this as well. There needs to be a uniform thing of, okay, this is too much. This is over the line. This is not over the line. There needs to be a difference. It has to be the same for everyone. And I don't know how they can do that, but it's like the blocking the plate rule, the check swing rule. It's like the strike zone. It should be the same, but it's not. And that's part of the part in baseball, especially when it goes against you. That's really disappointing and it's frustrating.